is the quest for colonial empires. It led Germany, Britain, and US to the brink of war. It was used for a need of markets and raw materials, as well as a desire for power and prestige. And competition for territory and markets led the US, Great Britain, and Germany to clash in Samoa. 10 years later, US won control over eastern Samoa and Germany over western Samoa. Pacific trading and whaling ships stopped at the islands for supplies made the first US contact with Hawaiian Island. US is known as a protectorate. American investors in the sugar industry gradually increased their control over the island, and the economy boomed and sugar planters grew rich. Hawaiian sugar production rose and the American influence increased. They brought in Chinese workers for more laborers due to the increase in sugar production. Hawaii was valuable to the United States in part because it was a convenient stopping point for American trading ships sailing to China. The U.S. wanted to annex Hawaii due to their fertile tropical and strategic positions in war. This was an ideal for bases for ships between California and Asia. Some Hawaiians supported the annexation by the U.S., but the U.S. forced the king to sign a constitution, and this allowed a naval base at Pearl Harbor. The spheres of influence was established, and this is where a particular country has exclusive rights over mines, railroads, and trade. The open door policy was another trade influence, and this would give all nations equal access to trade and investments in China. U.S. becomes involved with Japan through the Treaty of Kanagawa. Matthew Perry, representing the U.S. government, signs the Treaty of Kanagawa with the Japanese government, opening the ports of Shimoda and Hakodate to American trade and permitting the establishment of the U.S. consulate in Japan. Japan modernizes and quickly becomes a world power. There was also a lot of conflict with Cuba. Puerto Rico and Cuba were the only Spanish colonies left. Spanish set up concentration camps and starved the laborers that were working for them. The U.S. responded and says Spanish are the butchers. Yellow journalism shows up too, and the Spanish blew up the USS Maine. The explosion caused the fire, and due to yellow journalism, there was a lot going around about the Americans blaming it on the Spanish. Cuba had the Platt Amendment, which authorized that the U.S. intervene in Cuban affairs if necessary. Cuba had to sell land to the U.S. for naval base, and Cuba, as a result, was being a protectorate of the U.S. The Panama Canal was part of the U.S. because the Ay-Buena-Beria Treaty gave the United States complete and unending sovereignty over a 10-mile wide canal zone. And later, President Roosevelt boosted, "I took the canal zone and let Congress debate." In 1914, there was the first passage through the Panama Canal. The Monroe Doctrine also cast the U.S. as a protectorate of the Western Hemisphere. The results of the Spanish-American War included Spain losing the Philippines, Cuba, Puerto Rico, and Guam to the United States, and the U.S. now is a world imperialist. In 1946, the U.S. gave the Philippines full independence.